Let me show you something else. Not this one. Let me show you something else. Not here. Maybe this I'll come to later. But after I've done literature review, I'll show you what I've thought through in terms of a mind map. And I'll want you to work with that in your mind. Then you become very strong because you have already conceptualized all aspects of that chapter. So yesterday, we tried to go through the literature review process. And I just want to touch some aspects that I was not quite convinced about yesterday. I hope we are on the screen. You can all see this. Are we able to see that, all of us?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The importance and key steps of conducting an effective literature review process. The importance and key steps. And then I said that research is collaborative. That's why I keep encouraging people. It doesn't matter whether you're doing a PhD or a master's in data. When you hear there is a seminar or there's a class, jump into it. There's something you learn. It's collaborative. And as I told you yesterday, these are our own. These are our own students. And I want to thank Wafula for, I told him what I wanted and the type of pictures I wanted, and they have come out very well. And I want to repeat this slide. We must make you understand the purpose of a literature review. We must help you to know how to identify the relevant databases and sources of literature. We must help you develop such strategies and criteria for inclusion and exclusion of literature. We must be able to enable you to synthesize and organize the findings. You must engage in the critical evaluation of the selected literature. And then I spend a lot of time on citation, proper citation and referencing of the literature. So that is very important. I would like to deal with understanding the purpose of a literature review. And this is supposed to enable you identify relevant sources. Exploring diverse literature sources, so a wide range of literature sources, is crucial for a comprehensive literature review. At Daystar, you have unlimited access to any literature in the world from our library. And then we must engage, after gathering the diverse literature, we must do a critical evaluation of existing research. A critical evaluation of this existing research so that it helps in understanding the strengths and weaknesses of the various studies. So you're not just reading, there'll be a critical evaluation. And that's why I told you, as if I'm your supervisor, I'm going to give you references. I'm going to give you certain references for you to deal with. And you're not just going to tell me I have looked at it. No, you're going to highlight that document with a highlighter, green, blue, pink, and then you're going to make your own notes. You're going to do the annotation. But more importantly for me, every article I give you to read, you will do a synopsis. You will do a synopsis of 1 page and hand it in, telling me what that paper was all about. Now we know, when you talk about a synopsis, it must have certain components. And we are now convinced that we know what a synopsis should carry. If it is a literature, if it is a paper carrying the study you have. So I would like to see the background of the study, the problem of the statement, the objectives from that paper you have read. I would like to see the conceptual framework, the theoretical framework. I would like to see the methodology amplified, the methodology being used. And then I would like you to tell me, what is the research gap? What is the research gap in what you'll have read? That's what we are going to look for in critical evaluation of existing literature. So can it be very clear to all of us that for us, critical evaluation of the literature will actually entail summarizing what that study was about, but relating it to our proposal development. Then this is very important, building a theoretical framework. So utilizing the literature, you'll have encountered the theories for that study the literature gives you. But you must tell us, what is your gap? What is your gap? If your gap is the theory, if your gap is around the population, if your gap is around the methodology, if your gap is around the practical application, we would like to hear that from you as a summary of that paper. So, in other words, ladies and gentlemen, a literature review actually begins to give you the roadmap of how your proposal will be. Then there is the synthesis of the existing knowledge. So when you do a literature, please look for the themes. Look out for the themes that are coming through. Establish connections and patterns in the literature. And then for me, identifying the gaps and contradictions, very important. What has not been studied? What is contradictory? Where is the point of tension? Where are we having a knowledge gap? So that is important. You must be able to bring that out. Always remember, you're doing a literature review because you're generating insights and perspectives. You want to contribute to the advancement of knowledge. You want to give us areas that will require further investigation that your study did not give. And then you want to enhance the quality of research outcomes and identify areas of possible improvement. If you are looking for this, then you're going to give us a very strong chapter 2, as a master's student. I want us to leave this to the supervisors with yourself. You must be able to identify relevant databases and sources of literature search. You must go to the relevant databases. Is it ERIC? Is it Emerald? Is it the Library of Congress? Where are you going for your knowledge? Is it Scopus? So you will only go to the right area if your research questions and objectives are correct. So the research questions and objectives actually scope out for you. They scope out for you the databases. They help you go to the right databases. They scope everything for you. And I want that to be very clear to all of us, why it is so important to have the correct research questions and objectives, because then we obviously will go to where God wants us to go, or we are going to go to where we will get our correct databases. So me, I'm insisting as you write chapter 2, and I'm going to show you in the case study today, you will have to tell me, where did you get your material from, broadly speaking? That's what a good researcher is, so that I can also go there. I want you to note that yesterday I talked about gray literature. I have no problem in you incorporating literature that is not published. Somebody talked about blogs and other sources that have not been peer reviewed. I have no problem, so long as you are able to establish their validity and reliability, whether it is qualitative or quantitative. But I would like to encourage you. I'm a member of a global initiative where we are bringing to the fore the value of gray literature. This unpublished literature is now turning out to carry a lot, but it was just not published. But how do we validate that? So if it's qualitative, you have to get experts to read and concur with you. If it is quantitative, you have to do the various tests for validity and reliability. Assessing the credibility of scholarly articles, very important. Credibility. And my golden rule is that please go to peer-reviewed journals so that you are not second-guessing. And then please make sure that the sources you choose are relevant to the research topic. And that enhances the effectiveness of the literature review. Some of us are so blind. We keep picking articles and books and, monographs and everything else you want. But you're not evaluating the credibility and relevance. So you're wasting a lot of time. You end up with your study room packed with the materials, but they're relevant. So I want us to be careful. And this is what I said yesterday. Examine the recency and currency of sources. The recency. So remember yesterday I said, I would like some of you to cite now for me an article that is dated September 2025, today. Or even January 2026. That is currency. That means you're walking at the frontier of knowledge. Recency and currency of sources is crucial to capturing the most up-to-date information and evidence. But remember, I said there are also seminal articles and books that have stood the test of time, that anybody doing a paper in entrepreneurship must go back to 1837 and cite Schumpeter. That is like the Bible in an area. And how do you know that this is a seminal paper? This is gold. You just look at the number of citations. I don't know whether we know that, but you look at the number of citations. How many people have cited that work? That is very important. The number of citations. I will spend some time when I'm doing the case study, but I'm just saying it is very important for you to identify your gaps and for you to work in the area of recency and currency of sources. Then you must get into the right databases as you go along. I want all of us, and I'm stressing all of us, must be familiar with the tools like EndNote and Zotero for organization and citation of your literature sources. And you must have some documentation strategies, which I'm going to show you in the case study. And obviously, you must have a systematic approach for managing your literature. So managing and organizing the gathered literature is very, very important. I'm repeating what I said yesterday as a recap. Now, inclusion and exclusion criteria, keywords. And again, I'm going to say, carefully selecting keywords and their synonyms to ensure all relevant literature is captured in the search process. So don't be blind. Take keywords in the subject area, and I'll show that shortly, and be able to use them to scope your literature. And then using the appropriate databases and search engines. So very important, so that you are retrieving the literature that aligns to your research focus. We have what we call implementing search filters, which will just tell you if you have chosen the right keywords, you'll apply filters and they limit to take you to where you're supposed to go and remove the irrelevant literature, so that we ensure you have a more targeted approach. So what am I saying? Identifying keywords and synonyms is the first steps. It takes you to the databases. And when you are there, you begin to say, if this article does not have any of this, filter it off. I don't want it. We have talked about understanding the scope of the literature search, and it starts with the research questions and objectives. And these research questions and objectives come from your problem statement. And your problem statement is an urging of your background to the study. So exploring different academic databases, we will show that, and the value of gray matter. I wanted to recap this, analyzing the relevance. We shall come to that. But maybe what I want to emphasize is that evaluating the methodology and research design. Why do we do literature? We read articles in an area to assess research methodologies. We want to know the methodologies used in the selected literature to assess their rigor and validity. Were they good methodologies? Was this supposed to be a qualitative study? So the design, was it supposed to be qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods? And evaluating the overall research design and approach adapted in the literature to determine the strengths and weaknesses. And then considering the methods used for data collection and their appropriateness for the research objectives. So you are really saying, were these methods right for collecting data, and does it relate to the research questions and objectives? And then reflecting on the data analysis techniques. So if this was a qualitative study, how strong were the categories and the themes? And did the themes come out strongly around the phenomenon we were studying? So if we were studying poverty, if we were studying unemployment, if we were studying injustice, the techniques we used that we found in the literature review for data analysis, what impact did they have on the findings? So if you're talking about justice, for example, or fairness in the electoral process in Kenya, we'll be very interested in how you collected your data to avoid bias, political bias. You know, some of us are born into political space, just born, and we carry that bias. So as a researcher, how are you going to mitigate and increase the validity of your findings? So what am I saying? The literature review will be your strongest weapon at establishing the methodology and the research design. Looking at the theoretical framework, remember the theoretical framework is very important for you to critique the theoretical framework. Very important. And assessing the theoretical foundations of the literature and their relevance to the topic. So I see some of you struggle. You want to bring in 3, 4, 5 theories. I don't know why. I don't think you're doing enough critiquing. If you critique your theory and look at the research objectives and the research questions and the items in the questionnaire, you might find you only need one strong theory. And then you look at your conceptual framework used in the literature to determine their coherence and applicability. Again, how do you write good conceptual frameworks? It's by reading the literature, walking in the space where the experts have gone, and then trying to say, I am going to use this method. Critically analyzing the theoretical perspectives presented in the literature and the implications for the study. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you gather the sheets. Those of us who are Christians, that's how you gather the sheets as a good harvester. And then you look at, you not be asking me, what theory can I use in this study? When you tell me that, I know you've not read your literature adequately. And then identification of theoretical gaps. We have emphasized that. What are the gaps that you're chasing in your study? Assessing the author's credibility and authority, please. When you are citing something, just check up that author and find out how credible is this person. How credible? And you know, credible means how heavily has the person been cited? How heavily has he or she been cited? That is credibility. It doesn't come through any other way. So you'll assess the credibility of the person, the publications, and then you say, I'm going to use this because this is quite credible. We can go on and on and on, but I just want you to know that the literature review is very critical. As you go on to synthesize and organizing the findings, we'll do that through the case study. You must have read about it. It is not by chance. So identifying key themes and patterns in the literature, in the area you want to study, creating a coherent narrative to present a clear understanding of the research landscape, evaluating the quality of evidence, and identifying gaps and inconsistencies. That will make you the researcher we are looking for in this university. I won't go through proper citation and referencing because I know the library has done that, but I still put it as a very important point. So the significance of accurate citations, avoiding inadvertent plagiarism. So keep citing people when you are using the material. Establishing credibility and authenticity of the citations and complying with academic standards. Very important. So citation and referencing. And we shall pin you down as we go along. Now, when you start to write for me chapter 2, just like chapter 1, I was happy many of you were attempting to do citations, but now I want to see more citations coming up in chapter 2, and you are referencing them based on the 7th edition of APA. And you must have an appropriate citation style. A Daystar is the APA 7th edition, so all of us will be in it, and it will tell us how to do the citation. Avoid common errors in citation and referencing. So please make sure you are citing accurately. Enhancing the overall quality of the literature through effective citation and referencing is also very important. And then adhering to ethical considerations, upholding academic integrity, respecting intellectual properties, avoiding misinterpretation and misrepresentation, and acknowledging diverse perspectives and contributions would be very important. That is why we are doing the literature review. I want to pause and hear from you whether you have understood this, and just tell me how you have understood it. We are pausing. Caro, Dr. Mwaka, and Martin, if you're on board, can you start picking questions? Yeah.
All right, class. We have some questions here. I think I can bring them on. Yeah. So let me just close this bar here so that I can see. How can we cite? Okay, let me not begin with Jackie's. Okay, yes, Jackie. Jackie is asking, Prof, just to seek clarification, how can one cite 2025 or January 2026 while we are in 2024?
Yeah. That's a very good question. RSS, if you look at citations, if you go to Emerald or Eric, you'll find there's a section labeled RSS. And RSS is already capturing articles of profound significance in that area where you're studying. So those articles have been accepted for publication, but they're not yet published. And you'll find them. I'll take you there in seminar 2. I'm so biased about walking at the frontier of knowledge. But I want to share this. I don't know whether it will come through. Yeah. I want to share this. For example, so that what I'm talking about is real. It's not. This is my Google Scholar page. I'm talking about credibility of the authors. So you see, if you take this research book, which is online, is in the library, you can access it, a functional approach to education research methods and statistics, qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods approaches. It has been cited by 181 people across the world. I don't know them. And a lot of these people this book is in many universities in the US. And so about 8 universities use it as it's listed as one of the course texts. So when people read it, they then go and look at the book itself and use it. And when they use it, they then cite Ayiro. So look, if you go to related, is it still showing? Caro? Are we still together?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Look at this. Look at this, like this is somebody, Hula McGill. This is the article, Mixed Methods Approach by Creswell. If we had time, if you click on that article, EBSCOhost is one of the big databases you'll go to. And if you go here and you access this article, this one, in the references, you'll find Ayiro PL cited. So you, and here your institution may have access to this item. So you can, of course, we can't get this article until we get to go down and give the credentials of our institution. So all these articles have cited that book. This book, cited by 181. Ladies and gentlemen, in scholarship, even to be cited by 5 people who don't know you, a Chinese, a Russian, measures to your credibility. So then there is an analysis of emotional intelligence and the performance of principals in selected schools in Kenya. This was my postdoc research in Texas A&M. It has been cited by 78 people. Repositioning Africa in the global knowledge production has been cited by 69. Transformational leadership and school outcomes in Kenya. Does emotional intelligence matter? So what I'm saying is citation is a measure of your standing in research. And actually, there is a threshold. If you are an associate professor, a valid associate professor, or even a full professor, you must have hit a certain number of citations to stand there. You're not just calling yourself a professor. The question is, how many citations are you having? Yes. And then after that, we will want to know what is called your H&I index. So you see, like this one, transformation leadership in implementing madrasa-based management. You can go to this article. If you are able to access it, you can then go and look through the whole article, and you'll find that this book has been used. You see here. Can you see here? Ayiro LP, this book. Not the book, this one, Transformational Leadership and Outcomes in Kenya. Does emotional intelligence matter? This has been cited in this article that was written. So that's why when I'm looking at the citations, the 51 citations I can get to know. And these people don't know you across the world. So it is very, very important. I want you to note that something else that should interest you as a budding researcher is this, this thing. Look, Ayiro has 508 citations. I know many of you will be using this book, so the citations will run very fast as you cite it in your theses and in your articles, and also the articles in leadership, and also the book you're going to cite it. My H index is 9. My I-10 index is 8. I want you to go and ask yourself, what is an H index? What is an I-10 index? It is not easy to have an I-10 index even of 2 or 1, leave alone 8. But there are also people with I-10 indexes of 20, 30, 40. In fact, if I did not get into university leadership today, I would be having an IH index maybe around 15. Because when you get into administration, then you don't do much publishing. So that's about citations, and you can interrogate your professors and your lecturers. There's nothing to hide nowadays. Absolutely nothing. People know what is his I index, what is his H index, and so on and so forth. I want to show something. I hope I can get this. I was trying to get this. Caro, is this still showing? My fear is I don't know whether I'm still.
Yeah. You want to download it from the email first?
Yeah, I will download, but I'm looking for something.
The email or whatever is open, it's there. It's within the email attachment.
No, it's okay. I want to know, first of all, are you seeing it?
Yeah, but you have to expand it, Prof.
Yeah, just a minute. It's okay. I'm going to download it. But is this showing?
Yes, now, yeah, it's showing on the email.
It is not showing on the screen.
It's on the screen within the email yet.
No, but is this big thing, this mind map showing?
Yeah, but we can't see it because it is like an attachment within the email.
Okay, okay. Don't worry. I'll overcome that that inhibition. Let me do this. Let me stop sharing the email. Yeah. And then share this. I hope this is the one I want to show. I hope it's the one. This diagram 4 diagram. Has it come? Can somebody save me?
Yes.
Yes,
Prof.
it's visible.
Eh?
It is now visible.
Are you seeing chapter 1? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, the middle one, the blue color.
Yeah. Now, look at this. And my students, I wish I could name all of you, but you are more than 50. This is chapter 1. I have done a mind map for chapter 1. I've just sat down and said, how do I get chapter 1 moving? There is the introduction. There is the background. There are the objectives. There is the problem statement. Chapter 1. That you must have in mind. Remember, we are now writing our thesis. So we also know that there is a methodology chapter that will come. But in our chapter 1, there is significance of the study, practical applications, and academic contributions. Now, this is where I am. Chapter 2. After chapter 1, you have already done the theory of research methods. So now you are writing your thesis. As you do that chapter 1, you know that there is chapter 2, literature review. Look at what it says, literature review. Research gaps, previous studies, theoretical framework. I don't know. I don't know whether to ask Wekesa or to ask who is the other people, Sanya and the rest. The lawyers would say, is it getting you? And not, are you getting it? No, is it getting you? I am saying that as you sit now, based on what we have done with you as your research instructor, you are not looking at chapter 1 in isolation. You are stretching, even looking at the structure of the thesis. But this one, this yellow, shows you your actual chapter 1, what it should be. And remember, we wrestled with you people, and even some of my colleagues, the faculty, on how to craft the introduction chapter. The chapter is called Introduction. So the first part of that introduction, you are going to give us a background to the problem. You're not going to give us a background to the introduction. You know, very amorphous statements. Yeah? So me, I know the chapter's introduction, there is a background to the problem of the study. Then problem statement. Then you go to objectives. And then you'll tell me the significance and the rationale of the study, then conceptual framework and so on. I want you to start. I don't want to give you the mind map. I'm still working on the mind map for the literature review, but I want you to think, what should it be? This mind map. Wekesa, your hand is up. Come in.
Thank you, Prof. Okay, just Prof, you had told us, and maybe just a point of that, maybe you remind me. The theoretical framework in chapter 1 is just an introduction of what you will talk about in chapter 2. Is it so?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah,
think that one also answers the question by Anne Kinyaru in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I want you to note, I want you to convince yourself. I want you to convince yourself that you must have some inklings of what your theoretical framework will be for you to give us a conceptual framework. Yeah. And it can be 1 page, but we know when we get to your chapter 2, you can now increase the intensity of dancing and telling us how well you understand for your study, your theoretical framework. Any other interjection? Brian, yes, go ahead. Mwenda?
Thank you so much, Prof. You keep telling us to ensure that the reliability and validity of whoever we quote is top-notch. Do we write something to that effect in our thesis, or we just ensure? For example, do I say in my thesis somewhere that I've quoted Professor Ayiro because blah blah blah, or is it just
no? You don't say that. But when you say Ayiro, somebody will click and go to Google Scholar. Yeah?
Yes.
And see how cited is this person in this area of leadership and research.
Yep.
Yeah. Good question.
And then the second one is I've been struggling with this, but it may be very trivial. There are things we call known truths, but there is no research to that effect. Are we allowed to mention such? A weird example is, for example, if I was to say matatus in Kenya are very dirty. You see, that is common knowledge, but there's no place I can actually cite such a thing.
Don't
Are
have
we
to
allowed
cite.
to? Yeah.
Yeah. That is based on your experience.
Okay.
You see, based on your experience. Yeah. You shouldn't. Don't feel over restricted. You also have a mind. Huh?
Yeah.
And during a defense, you can actually justify.
Okay. So even if I was to say most leaders in Kenya are corrupt, whatnot, such statements will still hold water if I can actually defend my reasoning.
Yeah, but that one you have so many citations. So many.
Okay.
There's so many books, there's so many World Bank documents and so on. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Somebody has asked an interesting question on secondary sources. Thank you, Brian. Secondary sources. Secondary sources are sources that are, let me use the word amorphous. So they are documents that are written, but they have amorphous authors like GOK, Finance Bill. You know, it's not a primary source. That document was not written out of data collected and analyzed by an expert. Secondary sources. So we have different types. It is very different from secondary literature. Be very careful. And I hope going forward in our seminar too, I'll try to bring it out. I found that an interesting question because I know what problems it causes to students. Any other observation? Doesn't have to be a question. How are you feeling as we enter into this chapter 2?
Prof, just a follow-up to what you have shared. Does that include newspaper articles that may quote some researchers?
Yeah. And please just don't hesitate to quote the standard or the nation, but please follow the APA style of referencing when you're quoting it. That is a secondary source, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Any other ones before we go to something?
Prof,
Yes, my friend from across the border. Yes.
yeah, I have a very quick one. Yes,
Yeah.
I have a very quick one. I'm glad that through your words, I've learned something that has been a bit confusing on my end about secondary sources and secondary literature. I've Googled and I've seen the difference, and I think I'm happy with that. Now, back to the secondary literature. I think I've been having a real issue with my theoretical framework in my chapter 1 because of lack of the primary source of those authors that I think they are mature and they bear the foundation of whatever I'm writing on. How do you feel as a supervisor when you read a secondary? You find like in the work there is some repetitive the citation on secondary literature. How does it make you feel?
I have no problem. Because, Obadiah, you're not reinventing the wheel. Remember Daystar last academic year, we produced the first meta-analysis PhD thesis. A meta-analysis, all of it is secondary literature. But we are using the studies of those experts as our primary data. I have a second candidate who has just been given to supervise. He wants to do a systematic review and he's doing a PhD, but I will not allow him because he must go on then and do a meta-analysis of that systematic review. So what am I saying? He now has to analyze the primary data in each of those articles in the process of a meta-analysis. If one of you wants to do a systematic review at master's level, I'll pass it as a thesis, but not at PhD. Yeah, so I have no problem. Any other?
I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I've come across publications, say the recent publications, where you find an author actually cites repeatedly some of the seminal papers of the past. And author, now instead of citing this author, is it just not okay to also continue citing the seminal paper? Or current, now you need to cite this author that he made a citation and reference of that previous one. I think that is an issue that I want clarification on.
Okay, yeah. So remember our article on Drucker was not written by Drucker. It is somebody else analyzing and synthesizing Drucker's work. So who do you cite? You will continue to cite this person if you are carrying the citations that this person cited into your works. If you want to escape the clutches of this person around you, you then now pick one of those articles and read through it and then cite it as an article outside the work of this person who was talking about drug. So you now say you have talked about Ayiro and Odhiambo 1963. Now you go into Ayiro and Odhiambo 1963 and you are developing some thinking and you cite us. That is different. So that this work of Drucker by this author now becomes your source of primary data. Think about it. But if you continue reading that paper and carrying those thoughts of this person who is critiquing or supporting Drucker's work, then you'll continue to cite that person. So you'll cite him in this article, which will be like 2011. And when we are citing those other people, we shall say these other people in this article of 2011 by so-and-so. Yeah. But a good question. Next. Amata Paul asks, is there a specific scope or limit to literature review? We are going to make you do that. Do you know why people write limitless? And by the way, people don't even write. I have met students who say, but Ayiro, you have punished me to write an original chapter 2. As we were just told chapter 2, you can copy and paste anything. The lecturers don't even bother. No. Is there a specific scope on literature or limit to literature? Yes. It is limited. It is scoped by your research objectives and questions. And remember, Mata, we are going to construct our literature review in this way. We shall do literature on the independent variable. We shall do literature on the independent variables. Then we shall do literature on the relationship between the IV and the DVs. Then we shall search for the gap and summarize.
Excuse me, Prof.
Yes.
Allow me, forgive me for taking you back a little bit.
No problem.
Was after about the literature review, the secondary literature. I'm writing on career development, career choice among high school students, influencing factors.
Yeah.
And in a book written by Brown, I found this statement. Persons 1909 believed that if people actively engage in choosing their vocations rather than allow chance to operate in the hunt for a job, they are more satisfied with their careers, employers, cost decrease, and employees' efficiency increases. I want to personalize, I want to rationalize this statement based on the understanding that I've felt from it, and I want to make it to reflect a primary source. How am I removing Frank Parsons in this view? What do I do so that it sounds as a primary literature?
Yeah, you'll be saying that this area carries varied opinions. Semicolon or full stop. Frank, whatever it is, 2010, holds this opinion. So now that is a primary, that now you have turned that into a primary literature for you based on what Frank has said. You are now not broadly quoting Frank, but you are very specific on what he has said. That can be cited. And that is safe. You know what you're struggling with? What you're struggling with, I'm reading your mind. Can you find out, just in your own time, find out the difference between a bibliography and a reference. Find out. You know, Yeah, if you are talking about insights into educational leadership, institutional leadership, if you don't cite Ayiro, if you don't cite me on any of those aspects in that book, a specific aspect, you can just cite Ayiro in the bibliography, but that is not a reference. You must get into that book and pick a certain aspect that you want to emphasize in leadership, maybe commitment, maybe the value of character, communication, teams. And then now you can cite me. But if you're just talking about aspects of leadership and you're not being specific, then just give a bibliography. Just cite Ayiro 2020, and the book. But you will not have me in your pages as a source of primary data. Let's do the case study so that it might bring out some of these aspects. Any other points? All right. By the way,
Prof, I had raised my hand. Maybe
okay, Madiana, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So thank you very much. The first one is on the quantity of citations determining the strength of the literature you are selecting. Just part A and B of it is this. What is the standard of this has been cited by enough people? Is it 10? Is it 12? Is it 30? Is it 4? And part B, let's say my friend Boaz Waruku has written an amazing article. It is most recent, and maybe so far it is not cited. Does that reduce the effectiveness of my citation? Then my second and last question is this. I received feedback on some of the papers that we presented last semester, and then it says 15% plagiarism, for example. And it highlights areas where, in fact, I have followed, according to me, all the requisite APA requirements. In the state, if it's more than 40, put this and that. And I was putting it as quoting, citing that person to further show my developed thoughts. Why does it highlight that is plagiarism? Or are there many tools that somehow will just pick anything? Thank you, and over to you.
Very, very interesting questions. But first of all, nobody is going to value your thesis or your literature review on the weight of the citations. Weight means you're citing individuals who have been cited over and over again. If Boaz's paper carries the thinking around your research questions and objectives, by all means use it, even if it has not been cited. That will be the beginning of it being cited. By the way, any citation you put in your thesis will pop up in all citations in the world. So that's not a criteria. I also don't want you to give me a mosaic of citations such that the reading is not edible. There are just all these numerous roadblocks of citations. No. So you must be frugal in your citations, so that it allows for a reasonable flow and that you are citing to emphasize the thoughts that you're putting down. I think that's important. Now, on the percentage of plagiarism nowadays has come down to around 18. I could be wrong. The people who attend the academic board will tell me 18%. Do you know why you are being a victim? Is because you are picking what those people are saying verbatim. In other words, you can talk about Ayiro in a certain aspect of leadership or in a certain aspect of research methods from my book, but when you come to the narrative, the coherent narrative in your chapter itself, we would like you to be able to verbalize those thoughts. After you have said what I said, to verbalize those thoughts so that you kind of diffuse or thin out the mind of Ayiro, and now you bring in your mind. And that will depend on the person supervising you, how far they can take you in that aspect. But good question, and I'm taking down those points. We will record this, and we'll pick out this so that when I'm doing seminar 2, I can bring out most of these aspects. Finally, I want to ask this. Is somebody seeing where I'm going with these mind maps? Can somebody console me that there's value, or Ayiro, there's no need? And if you say there's value, why do you think there is value? Just encourage me, if nothing else. We have 2 hands. Hand number 1, go ahead.
I don't know if the hand number 1 is me, but
Yes,
Prof,
please.
yes.
Go ahead.
I must say that I'm encouraged, and just to give you hope that we are getting whatever you're telling us, Prof, and particularly me. First of all, I must admit that when we began this lesson, I was not getting it because could be I joined late or I was still in a state of confusion. But then I think today is making a big difference. I'm able to know what should be in chapter 1 and what should be in chapter 2. And when you were teaching literature review, I was not able to understand what it was about. But today I'm at least getting literature review, theoretical framework, previous studies and research gaps. All should be in chapter 2. And therefore, Prof, what you're doing is really impacting a lot of knowledge in us. And I'm sure we're going to give you this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'm just talking about these mind maps. They are supposed to take us to another level, even when you are defending. Can I have some comment? Yes? Yeah, go ahead.
I want to relate
yeah, go ahead.
how as a teacher of English, I use mind maps as a way of scaffolding my lesson in order to help the students, collect their thoughts so that they can develop texts. So here, for example, the one on display, when I look at it, it would have been made before I write my chapter 1, so that as I keep ticking the boxes, I know that my chapter 1 has what I had planned originally. But even as it comes now, I look at it now, I can go back to my chapter 1, and as I read through it, I keep ticking and saying, oh yeah, this one is covered there, this one is covered, oh, this one is not covered, so how do I bring it back and include it as part of my chapter 1? So mind maps are an effective way of covering all the requisite areas of a longer text, such as a thesis. Thank you.
Yeah, but thank you, Sam. And you know, colleagues, when you do this mind map, it is not cast in concrete. Like now you can come around here, introduction, background, problem statement, and you just start adding things like your study. Now you can click in here and start adding notes on what is your problem statement, condensed. You can go to the introduction, go to your chapter, and come and add notes there. They are talking about significance of the study. How about practical applications and academic contributions? But how about the rationale? Where is limitation and delimitation? You know, I was very deliberate. Where is limitation and delimitation? Where are my operational terms? So as you keep adding on this mind map, you are actually reinforcing your understanding of chapter 1. Next, there was a hand up. Yes?
Thank you, Prof.
Yes,
I think what this mind map is bringing out to me is that the chapters are not looked at in isolation. There is a very, very strong correlation in what I may have thought about in chapter 1 and what I'm going to bring about in chapter 2, which is the literature view.
Yeah.
So that even as I write, there is strong connection, correlation. I am not just jumping around or dancing on the periphery, as you like to tell us. So that there is a story that I am telling as I write my proposal. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, you have the bigger picture. You have the bigger picture. And it is urging you. You see, like now, I know many of you want to dive in the swimming pool. You want to do this chapter 2, literature review. You want to do the previous studies, the research gap, the theoretical framework. But even after that, you know there is methodology. When is Prof coming to methodology, chapter 3, where we do the philosophical underpinnings and the research design, then we go to population, sampling, data collection, data analysis. Very important. Any other comment as we run away from this? I want to start.
Prof,
yes.
I'm looking. Sorry. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, boss. Boss, go ahead.
Yes, I'm looking at, mind mapping is very interesting. And I think what you've displayed, it's not necessarily scattered, but it is very open. And I realized that chapter 1 is at the core and at the center here.
Yes.
That if it was weak or misplaced without the nuances of these other connectors, it may really not augur well. It means the stability of the thesis may be in question.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing that from your display here. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, we are being very ambitious, this class. We are being so ambitious that we are, the old approach is dying and we are creating something anew. And I want this demonstrated. When I was looking at your results today, I was very happy as the CEO of Daystar, because we have, when I came to Daystar, the disease of missing marks was prevalent, was beginning to creep. And I said, never again. And that after every semester, we have a time in our service delivery charter when the results must be. So I had to fly from Western after the burial of my niece to come and chair the Senate because results had to be released on Thursday. Now, this is who we are. So I'm sure all of you are feeling content because you have your results of all the courses you've done so far, and you know where you are. And this is what will make us different. I keep on telling my colleagues. Timeliness and feedback. But I am not seeing the ambition I want to see in some of you. I'm not seeing the ambition I want to see in some of you. And that's why I wanted to talk to you and ask you, do we have an ambition? A GPA is supposed to be 4.0. That's the highest scale in the American grading system. And you are lucky because you are on the GPA system, you'll walk into an American university without the difficulty of somebody who's coming from, for example, in the public university, where you have to do GRE and other exams. But I am not seeing the ambition I wanted to see. And I think next class, I will be vulnerable. I'll give you my GPA at McGill. And I was telling Ngozi that my GPA at McGill was 3.87. And in that year, I was listed as a university scholar. That is beyond a first class. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to see ambition in the courses you are doing this semester. I would like to see ambition in your thesis. And already I've started amplifying some of you to be very strong students. Because out of this class, we have now introduced graduate assistants in Daystar. So when you come and you have a GPA, for example, of 3.6, 3.7, you become a graduate assistant. You are doing your master's, but you are employed, and you'll be paired up with a professor for mentoring. You attend the classes like now, you are able to do tutorials, you're able to mark assignments. As you do your PhD, you can see how strong you can become if you are sitting under the feet of a professor in whichever field. So I would like some of you to have that ambition. Secondly, right now I have established, for the time I've been in Daystar, 37 very solid, very, very solid collaborations. I'll give you an example. One of my faculty, she's a resident tutor, she's the head, she's a senior associate dean. She asked for leave. She wrote a letter to ask for 4 months leave to finish her thesis. And it came to my desk. Everybody had approved. Came to my desk and I said, my God, if there's somebody who has supported me at Daystar in the residency, is this person. And I had just come from Wheaton last month or the other month. And we have a very strong collaboration. One of the things Wheaton has given us is that our faculty can go there for 4 months, 3 to 4 months, and sit under very strong mentors, either for postdoc studies or PhD studies. And you can imagine, that's why chance only favors the prepared mind. So because this lady has been in the hostels, all the crises we have on the rugby pitch, when there's no ambulance, she'll call me and say, we must hire an ambulance before we bought one ourselves. it's like striking a bolt in my head. And I said, she's going. I wrote to the president today before this class, I was reading his reply. He's asking me, you know, how long is she staying? When is she arriving? Do we give her accommodation? We are going to send the J-Watt visa application from here. So she's going to Wheaton to work, you know, to complete her thesis. And this is going to do all that is needed. We will pay for the tickets for her to go, and we shall pay her a stipend outside her salary. What am I saying? Don't take your courses lightly. Aspire. Every mark matters. Every assignment matters. And who knows? So if there is a bolt from the blue, like this one came, it will find something to strike. Some of you, even if there was a bolt from the blue, it will find nothing to strike because you have a crawling GPA. You know, you are I can afford to use any words on you because you know I mean well. Yeah. So yes, so I would like to see that. I would like to see that coming through. And when I do things like mind maps, I'm being deliberate about something. And we want to sharpen this class. Our chapter 2 should turn out to be the best that DACE has ever witnessed. I can't write it, but it is you who's going to write. But I'll do the mentorship like we're doing now. Thank you very much. All right. I would like us to take a 5-minute break as I prepare the slides, not the slides. I'm worried, Caro. I think I'm going to shift the conceptual and theoretical framework to seminar 2 because I'm looking at the time and I don't want to rush through the case study. This case study is supposed to lead us to the drinking well. So I might finish it, and then in seminar 2, as we pick the points being raised, and also as I bring case studies of very bad chapter 2s and very good chapter 2s, we will then be able to do the conceptual and theoretical framework. Because I want us to know how this will sit in our chapter 2.
Yeah,
5 minutes?
That's
Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay.
5 minutes, they can grab some water and then
Yeah.
you don't leave, just grab water, stay on. And as Prof leaves, you can reflect on GPS, can reflect on that. And, you know, you have been inspired something. That's what I'm talking about. You know, as I said, in this class, we are looking for people also to retain and join and retire from government if you can, and then join us for those in government. Who knows? So I think you'll be inspired. Chris is just now quiet. Chris. Right. Yeah. So.
Sorry, I'm just reflecting on my crawling GPA and it encourages me.
This is your final semester, Prox. Your final semester coursework. Please, you have a chance to get, you know, the only thing I realized is that, I mean, we definitely tried our best. Like last semester, just asking people to submit assignments the last minute. Please don't put me in this situation this semester. I really want you to do what is right. And keep you know, some people, post assignment. People should not be asking post assignment. People should go and look for it. Because how come Boaz attended and someone did not attend and would like to post, send this? What's the way, Chris? Oh, can you go back online before? So I want us to, I know I'm not saying your GPA is bad, it's very good, but I'm simply saying that let's be responsible this semester. Shoot your grades, B+, A-, A, shoot there, so that we can have grade of you coming out. For you to do a master's, a PhD in data, you need a GPA average of 3.0 for you to do a PhD in Daystar. But I know you can do a public university in other places, 2.7. But is that where you want to go and spend time? You also want to go maybe in the UK, or you want to go to US, or you have to get good GPS. And we encourage you to do that so that you can work. Look, Prof has come out to give you a very special attention because he has a whole seminar to do on Saturday for the whole university. As I was indicating, we had 523 people attending that seminar, 233. It can tell you watching 10, but in my views, I have seen we had 253 on that particular day, plus 300, the maximum we could reach. And everybody is wanting to get good grades and good. I know people say, oh, at master's, PhD, it's not about grades. It's about grades. It's about you're eager to think. They also contribute for you to get scholarship. And you also want to go, when you go to an interview, people don't see deep D's. They want to see B's. They want to see A's. I know they get lifted and let know that you are able to do that. So I encourage all of us to perform and do very well and work extremely. Just keep to deadlines. You know, we are the only lucky class that sometimes Dr. Ayiro Mwaka has to ask for grades from students the last 4 days to moderation. That doesn't happen anywhere in Daystar. It will never happen anywhere. It's a crime sometimes, and can be a criminal just because. And then so we really want to ensure that you guys are getting the best, and everybody envies one of the best class in this university, because which university will you find a vice chancellor, deputy vice chancellor, academics, deputy vice chancellor, finance, director of academics, senior most professors teaching you? And I'm happy that on the forums, people are behaving very well, which is very good, because we don't know, those are different professors. So I'm happy Ellen is quiet enough.
Dr.
Yes.
Dr. Can I ask, please?
Yes, go ahead.
I was actually thinking about this and wondering, you know, as of now, I only know about my grades and one or two other colleagues that I have shared with. Is it possible for us to have a spread of how all of us are performing without the names, of course, like a graph, you know, or maybe just a chart that shows there are 5 people got A's, you know, or 5 people got this GPA, other one, even if it's just as a way of motivating us to see that, yeah, we have people who are doing better, so we can also do it. Do you think that's possible?
All a matter. Where you is it something the registrar? No, your registrar does the overall Daystar graphs and says all Daystar we had these A's, all Daystar we had these B's, all this. But I think they can extract one program, which is possible, because that's how they conclude towards that. And I think Paul, you think if I make a request to Nganga, he can do that? Just a spread, like the way you usually spread for us, and tell us these are the number of A's and these are the statistics. It might help, it might not help, but there's nothing wrong. Data is good and data communicates. Is that something, Paul, that is possible?
Yeah.
There's usually no names. There's usually just that we had 100 A's, we had 100 B's, we had this and this. Yeah, the spreadsheets are usually available.
Yeah, I'll talk to my colleagues and see if it happens. I'll communicate back.
Yeah, but keep working hard. That one is not really anything that would add. You as an individual, I have already mentioned to you, you need to get a B. At least get a B and above to be safe to do a PhD anywhere in this world. That one I've been telling you. And a B in Daystar is, Paul, is it 70 to 75, isn't it? 70 to 75.
70 to 75. I'll send the grading, whatever. Yeah.
But to be placed very well, get 81 and above. 81 is A- in Daystar. Again, Daystar is very high. That's why you don't stress to go and do those things like GRS and all. Why? It's because we already set our standard to the world. So nobody will ever ask a Daystar student to go and do a GMAT, a GRA, I don't know what exam. No. Entry is automatic because already we put our grades very high. So try and work around A-. The reason why people don't get is because the reason is just assessment activities. I usually plead with you people, please submit your assessment activities on time. on time. Don't give the lecturer the feeling that you have trained him so much to ask for that assessment. And if you don't give on time, communicate. Communicate. For sure, me, I want graduate assistant. Florence Macho, will you have time? You like the public than the private, you know, and
I've been in private, Doc, before.
Oh, it's
so
private. Okay.
I've been in private before, so I can juggle both.
But you like a lot of per diems in private public. So
no, actually, mine doesn't have per diems as you think.
All right. So I encourage all of us, and if you can't communicate the lecturer in time and that, and we will be there. But the good thing is that most of you are doing exactly very well, and you're doing very well. Other than just some of us here and there, who really needs to be pushed. And I have to write a lot of justification on why you should not get an F and get an X, which is usually very difficult for me. Because you see, essentially, if you attended the class and you finished and you didn't submit all assignments and you did not submit even the final, you're supposed to get an F. An F means you repeat the course. You repeat the course and pay for it. Unfortunately, the scholarship does not take care of that. So you'll have to pay for it fully. And can be expensive. It's almost half of your semester fee to pay one course in Daystar. One course. You are on a very good rate of scholarship. So I really plead with all of us, please, 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 communicate and try and work. Yeah. No. Chris, let's not put, it's a procedure. We don't want to put Paul in any pressure. I have to request officially again, if that is what people want to see. I don't know how it is going to help you. I don't know if it's going to motivate you or what, but it really is just your personal journey that you must be able to take through. Yes, Obadiah?
Yes, Secretary. Thank you so
sorry,
much
Obadiah, Prof
for...
has come in. Yeah.
I'm back but let Obadiah finish what you wanted to say.
Thank you so much for the privilege, Prof. Yeah, it's just a concern. I thought about it and I thought that I should share with you. Now, for the PhD program, would you kindly help us to create an avenue for us where we can have exchange program with other universities, maybe outside the continent?
Yeah, I think we are working very hard to submit the program to the commission. And then after that, we'll see collaborations. Taylor has just started a PhD in leadership. Taylor is one of the best Christian schools in the US, and we are very close. We work very closely. So yes, those are things we'll think about. But I want to see, I don't know why Caro is appeasing your spirits. I mean, I'm not seeing the GPAs I want to see. That's a fact. It's a fact. I would like to see some of you astonish me with your GPS. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow us to continue. I promise to stop at 8:30 prompt. Whether we'll have gone far or not, we'll stop there and then carry on. And I hope our internet is behaving. I hope it's not as ugly as yesterday, Caro. Keep on telling me that because I was very frustrated yesterday. Are we there? Are we okay?
Yeah, internet is very stable. It's very clear.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you very
Maybe
much.
your presentation is, you can just center it.
Okay.
Maybe move it towards the right. Yeah. Yeah, it has moved more of the left. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay? Okay. I would like us to, I don't like the size. Huh? Is that a little better? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a case study And I would like the course facilitator to pick for us people who will read. But this is writing your dissertation, your thesis, the standard format, chapter 2. This is extracted from my book, but also I want to tell you I have gotten some grant from Austria to write a research manual for doctoral students in Africa. So these are some of the thoughts I'm putting down that will be part of that manual. Sorry, I'm still not very happy, but let's see. So Boaz, and I'm just being random. Can you start us off with this reading? We're going to read as a class, and Caro, you'll begin to pick people for me because I can't see them from my screen here. You have the names. Be gender sensitive and spread them out. Yeah, Boaz, let's go.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Yeah. Writing your dissertation, the standard format, that's chapter 2 on literature review. Objective. Readers will be able to write the literature review chapter of their dissertation, introduction and overview. In this section, you first remind your readers about the problem and the purpose of the study. Then you share what should be expected in this literature review chapter, highlighting the main sections and or topics you will be writing about.
Yeah, and please let us pay attention. Yeah, sorry. Let's pay attention. What will be in the introduction and overview of our literature review chapter? And this is a case study. So you remind us about the problem and the purpose of the study, which you'll have done in chapter 1. Then you share what should be expected in this literature review chapter, highlighting the main sections and or topics you'll be writing about. Carry on, Boaz.
Okay, the main points and directions. There are the main key points that masters or doctoral researcher should consider when developing the overview section of chapter 2. 1, state the research problem or gap. 2, state the purpose of the study. And 3, provide an overview of what you plan to discuss in this chapter. Example,
yes. Just hold on. Yeah. I want to say, I am taking a lot of interest in ChatGPT. This is the artificial intelligence chatbot, and I'm using this as a research area. So we are going to talk about ChatGPT as our research area.
Okay.
So this is how an overview should look like. So you take your topic and juxtapose on this one and see how will I write my overview. Go ahead.
Okay. Example 20.1 overview. Although there have been conversations within the academic community about...
Can we mute first, please? We are Can all of us mute so that we're not interrupting? Go ahead.
Yeah. Although there have been conservations within the academic community.
There's still noise in the background, Caro. That noise. What is that?
Waruku, are you seated in where there is no? Waruku, is that you
Is
yourself?
it from? I'm in my study room. I'm in the study room of my children, but there's nobody else.
Okay, well,
yes.
just go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Although there have been conservations within the academic community about the use of ChatGPT, that is an artificial intelligent chatbot, there was limited empirical evidence in support of how university faculty and graduate students view the utilization of this AI tool and the concerns they have about it. D'Agostino, 2023. The purpose of the study was to examine how ChatGPT can be used in the academic world and explore concerns associated with adopting this AI chatbot. In this chapter, I review relevant literature in relation to the topic of ChatGPT adaptation, use and concerns within the academic field. I started this review by describing where and how the literature was accessed. After describing the literature, such strategies, detailed information about the conceptual framework and concepts related to ChatGPT adoption and utilization literature were reviewed.
Thank you. Pause. Note in our style from your graduate handbook, you don't say I reviewed. So in this chapter, relevant literature was reviewed in relation to the topic of ChatGPT adaptation. The review started by describing where and how, so not the first person. But you'll be very interested to know that the world of research today is going in this direction, that there is a committal element that people are looking for from researchers. But based on our graduate handbook, we will not talk in the first person. But that is not important. Have you seen, I have stated the research problem or gap and why this study is being done. Carry on, Boaz.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, it has gone very fast.
We are here.
Okay. Yeah. Notes about ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence-powered chat system that is capable of responding to questions you ask or command/prompt you give. That is as per Atlas 2023. This chatbot developed by OpenAI at https openai.com has been trained on a huge amount of information gathered from the internet. If an appropriate prompt is given, ChatGPT, that is at https chatopenai.com, can provide useful information, dramatically cutting the amount of time spent in getting similar information from conventional means. As Al-Shatter 2022 puts it, I quote, It is trained on a large database of human-to-human conversations and can generate appropriate responses to questions and prompts given by users. It can also generate complete conversations on its own, making it a powerful tool for NLP research. Close the quote, that's page 2.
Yeah. Okay. I want us to note what the overview is about. So you'll have to domesticate your overview of your chapter, introduction and overview, to your area of study. But you can see what we are doing here. We are very specific on what is expected because we have said you state the research problem or gap, state the purpose of the study, provide an overview of what you plan to discuss in this chapter. I would like us to introduce this, although it might not be pronounced in our graduate handbook. I think it's very important for you to tell me your literature search and selection. And Boaz, you read as that, then stop.
Okay. So, literature search and selection. The literature search strategies section is where you present how and where you searched for literature related to your topic and selected relevant ones for review. There are 3 main reasons why this section is very important. Firstly, as part of promoting the transparency of the study, you are expected to share the strategies you used to search for appropriate literature for review. Secondly, it is a way of educating your readers in the techniques used to search and select the right literature for your study. And lastly, sharing how you got the literature you reviewed helps future researchers to replicate what you did, if need be.
Yeah. So it's not about Daystar format in the booklet. I'm struggling with this myself. I just find this as very critical. If you are doing a proposal for the World Bank, if you are trying to look for money, this is very important. You are promoting the transparency of the study, and you are sharing the strategies you used to search for appropriate literature for your review. Secondly, you're also telling your audience, educating your audience in the techniques used to search and select the right literature. And finally, you are sharing how you got the literature you reviewed, and therefore enabling future researchers to replicate this study in South Africa or in China or within the country again with a population gap. And it can be done. Caro, who is the next reader?
I think the next reader is Florence.
Thank
Florence
you.
who? Oh, okay.
All right. Main points and directions. These are the main key points that the master's doctoral researcher should consider when writing the literature search and selection section in chapter 2. Describe the databases you used to search for the literature related to your topic. State the search terms you used to search for the literature. Share the criteria you used to selected relevant literature for review. Example 20.2.
Florence,
Yes.
can you, Macho, can you just go through that? What is this literature search and selection? Go through those three statements.
All right. Describe the databases you used to search for literature related to your topic. That's number one. Number two, state the search terms you used to search for the literature. And number three, share the criteria you used to selected relevant literature for review.
Yes. So you see the search terms, remember the key words when we are looking at the literature review context. And then the inclusion and exclusion criteria. Put us through that example. No, somebody, Othello, has raised his hand.
Yes, Prof, thank you. I was asking if it is possible for us to do this simulation in our class before we get to our individual topics, doing searching, which way, maybe when you go for defense, they will be asking you.
Yeah.
This now, since it has become an open secret, can we begin by doing that?
Yeah. I get you. Good point. Carry on, Machi will come back, but that's a good point. Let's go on.
All right. Example 20.2, literature search and selection. At the time that I was searching for literature to review, ChatGPT had been released for public use for about 3 months. Due to this, there were a few databases that had literature relevant to my topic. I used the Sage Journal and ERIC databases to get access to ChatGPT related literature. Besides, the Google Scholar search engine was used to search for literature, including their sources. The following terms were used to access articles: ChatGPT impact on education, GPT and research, and ChatGPT and education. To be selected as a part of the review, the literature should touch on one of the following areas.
Yes, and pause. Remember, we will not say I used, but the Sage Journal and the ERIC databases were used to get access. But I want you to convince yourself this is important. This is important. You must tell us the databases, but also the key terms that helped you assess or access the articles. So it is not enough. By the way, why is it ChatGPT impact on education? ChatGPT and research, and then ChatGPT and education. If you read this carefully, if you go back to chapter 1, you'll find that these were the areas where the objectives and research questions were anchored. Carry on.
Thank you. Role of ChatGPT in promoting academic work. Functions of ChatGPT, meaning of ChatGPT, limitations of ChatGPT, benefits of ChatGPT, ethical issues related to ChatGPT.
Pause. If you go up here, you notice that this study, and be very careful, was about the value of ChatGPT vis-a-vis use in universities and lecturers. That was stated on the onset. So you must be carrying this forward. You must be carrying this forward. Look at this. Although there had been many conservations within the academic community about the use of ChatGPT, there was limited empirical evidence in support of how university faculty and graduate students view the utilization of this AI tool and the concerns they have about it. So the purpose of this study was to examine how ChatGPT can be used in the academic world and explore concerns associated with adopting this AI chatbot. That's why when you come here, you can see the role of ChatGPT in promoting academic work, because that's where we are seated. So the functions, the meaning, the limitations, the benefits, and then ethical issues, the concerns that were being raised. Carry on, Florence.
Thank you. In addition, I searched for literature that focused on studying or discussing the diffusion of innovation theory. The diffusion of innovations was the theory I used to develop the conceptual theoretical framework for this study. The terms I used to search for literature related to these theories were Rogers' diffusion of innovations and technology, and diffusion of technology. Utilizing these strategies helped in getting access to relevant literature to review.
Very good. So is the point, and is the point of such items, key words, sinking home? Yes. This is about an innovation. So I have to find out what theory drives innovation. And the Rogers diffusion of innovations, and then diffusion of innovations and technology, and diffusion of technology became my keywords as I was searching the literature around the conceptual and theoretical framework. And here I'm not talking just to Wekesa or Ngozi and the others. I'm asking, is this thing getting you? I'm not saying, are you understanding? It must get you. Is it getting you? Next reader, Mwaka.
Prof, before the next reader, allow me to ask a question. So, you are introducing something that was not there, as you've said, the literature selection, search. So, does this come before the theoretical framework, or where should it be placed under the chapter 2 arrangement?
It has to come earlier. You must, all these things will be vomited by the databases. Yeah, your research engines. They'll be vomited by your research engines. So you must tell us which are the ones you're going to target. So you and your supervisor, that's where supervisors come in. That's why we are reviewing the payments to supervisors. I was telling people, it's a joke, what we have been doing, because when I supervise for the University of Cape Town or Pretoria, I told you the kind of money I get. When I was at Moi, when you'd supervise a PhD, first supervisor or second, there was no first or second. The remuneration was 110,000. Yeah, 110,000. So I was doing 12. My last cohort, I supervised through cohort. Like now I'm doing this cohort of 55. I supervised through cohort. So 12 of them, I got my clean 1.2 million. Yeah, but you've got to work for it. It's not a matter of looking at something and saying, go on, and you put a red mark somewhere on page 7, seen. Or you go to page 3 and say, what is a problem statement? What is it? I can't. Or you are asking your student, what is the problem? And you are a supervisor. Who is the next reader, Carol?
Evans.
Evans who? There could be many Evanses.
Evans Lusasi.
If he's not picking up, call somebody else.
He's on.
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm
Go
here.
ahead, Evan. Yeah, go ahead.
Conceptual or theoretical framework. The conceptual or theoretical framework reflects a description of the theory, model, or concepts that inform your study. The framework for your study can be written in Chapter 1. However, some institutions or dissertation chairs or supervisors may ask you to expand what was written in Chapter 1 by sharing and synthesizing academic authors and researchers' views on the features, components, strengths, weaknesses, and/or assumptions about the theory, model, or concepts you have selected for your study. In addition, you are expected to review how the selected theory, models, or concepts have been used by researchers if studies related to your framework have been done.
Yes. Go on.
Main points and directions. These are the main key points that the master's or doctoral researcher should consider when writing the conceptual or theoretical framework, such in Chapter 2. State the theory, model, or concepts used in the development of framework. Describe the originators and the theory, model, or concepts. Describe the characteristics of the theory, model, or concepts. Present the components of the theory or model. Describe the views and assertions of scholars and researchers in relation to the theory, model, or concepts. Describe the studies, if any, that utilize the theory, model, or concept.
Thank you very much, Evans. Very good reading. The class, the PhD class of 2023, 2025. I have spent sleepless nights writing these main points and directions because I have seen the frustration of students when we ask them, what is the theoretical framework or conceptual framework? You have not written it well. Really, what does writing it well mean? So I have sat down and I have thought through, what should I see? What should my student be able to put down? And that is what you are seeing here. This is what you are seeing here, these ones. So please, I want to repeat, please, can you religiously follow these steps? Otherwise, you'll make me very frustrated. That's why this is going to be a manual for research methods. So when we talk, don't tell people make sure you write the theoretical framework. Make sure you give me the theoretical framework. What are you asking? So this is to guide you. And this is what we have done with the main points. Where you see I've written main points, you are able to pick out, how am I going to do this? Like here. So what are the main points in the literature search and selection? These are the main points. Describe the databases, state the search terms, share the criteria you used. That is what we are saying here, these ones. So this is a roadmap. And don't start becoming clever. Just follow this. And when you'll have finished in narrative, you will have your theoretical conceptual framework. Please don't make us frustrated. Othello, I've seen your hand up.
Thank you, Prof. Can we go up? There's a word that we use, and then I wanted to find out if we can do some clarification on the word.
Which one?
It is, okay, it is, maybe we go again up. We go again up where we talk about conservation. Yes, we are on overview. At the very top there, we mean that conversations or reservations or
Just a minute. And I'm glad you brought that up. I want you to expand your. When I say there have been conservations within, what do you think I'm talking about? I'm not talking about conversations. What am I saying? I was trying to see whether this will give us what I wanted. I'm not getting what I wanted. When you have Othello, when you have conservations within the academic community, what does it mean? It's not conversations about the use. What is it?
Does this relate to being conservative, politically speaking?
Yes. Yes. Within the academic community, about the use of this, there have been conservations.
Conservations can also be thought to be like fear or phobia of reluctantness to adopt change.
Very good. That's the goodness of having a bright class. Amata. Yes, your hand is up.
I wanted to concur with my brother who just said something, and I wanted to say that it's an act of maintaining traditional values.
Yes. Yeah. So, but you know why that's a good question? You know why I like Othello? Because some of you were busy saying that's a typing error. But yes, this is used very deliberately. I'm using this in fact, I'm surprised I'm not getting what I wanted here. Yes, Othello, go ahead.
Okay, Prof, I was just trying to lower my hands. Then
yeah, I'm trying to, I was looking for something else. I think my what I was hoping to get, I'm not getting, but I think the answers come in. It is appropriate and see it within that sense. And even, by the way, in Daystar, we had a student come to the disciplinary committee for using ChatGPT. That's a very conservative area.
Yes, Prof, that's a very good term that you have used there. I've been very uneasy with the coming of AI. I mean, GPT, ChatGPT.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go on. Can we go on, please? Because of time, I promised to finish by 8:30 sharp. So can we go on? Carol, can we have another reader? Is Carol online or she's cooking in the US, in Minnesota? Carol, are you there?
I can read.
Yeah, can you read? Go ahead. Thank you for saving my face. Yes.
Example 20.3, conceptual stroke theoretical framework. The theory selected to inform this study was the diffusion of innovations, Daring and Cox 2018. This theory was developed by Rogers 2003. The diffusion of innovation theory explains how innovations are adopted and used by people over time. In other words, the theory evolves around how new technologies In other words, the theory evolves around how new technologies are accepted and utilized over time. Sahin 2006. Rogers' diffusion of innovations theory is the most appropriate for investigating the adoption of technology in higher education and educational environments. Sahin 2006, page 14.
And I hope you
Similarly,
know, just a minute, I hope you know we are putting there the page because we have the quotes. Otherwise, we would have just said Sahin 2006. Carry on.
okay. Similarly, the theory best informed this study because it focused on exploring the diffusion process of ChatGPT within the academic world, examining the use of this AI chatbot among the university, faculty, and graduate students. Diffusion is how the information about and utilization of an innovation moves from the innovators of a technology to the end users. Wejnat 2002.
Very good. Carry on.
Diffusion. Informed by Rogers 2003, diffusion is innovation theory. Daring and Cox 2018 asserted that the factors impacting diffusion are characteristics of innovation, characteristics of innovators or adopters, and environmental context. According to Rogers 2003, there are 5 stages of innovation decision process, which is also known as communication or diffusion channels. These are the knowledge stage, where adopters have information about the innovation into brackets, persuasion stage, where adopters affect feelings or emotions towards the innovation is ignited into brackets, decision stage, where adopters make a choice to use or not use the innovation into brackets, implementation stage, where adopters use the innovation into brackets, and confirmation stage, where adopters seek support for their decision to utilize innovation into brackets. Sahin 2006.
Maureen, thank you very much. Very good reading. And I hope you just come here. Describe the originators of the theory, model, and concepts. Describe the characteristics of the theory. Present the proponents of the theory or model. This is what we are doing here. So that's why I keep urging people. Really, you must have mentioned this theory for us in chapter 1, very briefly. But now in chapter 2, you have all the space to dance. and to elaborate on number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. That's what we are trying to say. Next reader.
May I read?
Go ahead.
Innovation. Based on the diffusion of innovations, features of the innovation could impact the diffusion of new technology, such as ChatGPT. That one, et al.
Kakiroglu
et al. 2022. 5 main factors related to innovation characteristics that could affect diffusion are adopters, perceived relative advantage, compatibility, complexity, trialability, and observability of the innovation. Kakirogu et al. 2022, page 89. These factors help address questions like, will the new technology efficiently and effectively help the adopters accomplish a task better than the old one? That is relative advantage. How consistent is the innovation to the adopters' values, culture, and needs? That is compatibility. How much easier can the innovation be used? That is complexity. Can the innovation be experimented with less or no risk? That is trialability. Can the outcome of utilizing the innovation be easily noticed? That is observability. Go and Sigala, 2020, page 5 to 6. Empirically, the relationship between the diffusion of innovations and the above-mentioned factors has been explored in studies. One of these was a study conducted by Lee and Worthy, 2021, to determine whether relative advantage, compatibility, complexibility, and trialability are related to the adoption of fad diets. Based on the results, okay, please move it down a bit. Yes, based on the results, there was a statistically significant relationship between complexity, trialability, and fad diet adoption, but not between relative advantage, compatibility, and fad diet adoption.
Yes, just pause. And I hope the class is noticing that when you're talking about the theoretical and conceptual framework, you must have read it thoroughly. So we are beginning to see the description of the characteristics of the theory, model, and concepts, the presentation of the components of the theory and model, and describe the views and assertions of scholars and researchers in relation to the theory, model, and concepts. In a nutshell, when you are giving us your conceptual and theoretical framework, I expect a detailed narration based on points 1 to 5 as above. So it is not some wishy-washy writing. And all these aspects we are talking about, you'll find them coming through into our conceptual framework, the variables, as we move on. That is very, very, very important. So can you, that was Jenny, was it Jenny?
Yes.
Yeah, can you just finish us with the characteristics, and then we will stop there for today.
Okay. Characteristics of innovators or adopters. When looking at a community of users of innovations, according to Rogers 2003, there are 5 different kinds of adopters. These include innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards, Sahin 2006. Innovators are adopters who are ready to explore and use new technologies, while early adopters adopt innovations and show people how to use them. Kakil et al. 2022. The early majority adopt new technologies as they interact with people utilizing them, while the late majority wait until most of their peers adopt the innovation. Sahin, 2006, page 20. Finally, the laggards have limited interactions with the initial users of the innovations, such as the innovators and early adopters. They normally use new technologies after observing a successful outcome of the adoption by other members of the society. Sahin, 2006. The early and late majority form 2/3 of a community of users of innovations. Rogers, 2003. However, the distribution for the groups of adopters observed by Rogers, 2003, does not apply to all studies. In Kakiroglu et al. 2022 study about the adoption of online instruction, 40% of academics were considered parts of the early and late majority compared to Rogers' study, which reported 68%. See table 20.1. Do I need to read through the table?
Yeah, just go through the table, yeah.
Okay, table 20.1. Adopted groups and their distribution under Rogers, 2003, and Kakiroglu et al.'s 2022 study. Adapter group, the first one is innovators, Rogers study, Rogers 203 study, 2.5%, and Kakiroglu et al.'s 2022 study, 11%.
So now you just read the adapter group and the percentage.
Okay.
Early adapters.
Yes, early adopters, 13.5, 23%. Early majority, 34%, 18%. Late majority, 34%, 22%. Laggard, 16%, 26%.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, are you beginning to see the value of the conceptual and theoretical framework? This gives birth to the variables that you will engage with in your study. I remember when I went to Jogo House in 2001, the top managers were all given laptops. And we were all supposed to go through ICT training. About 90% locked them up in the safes so that they are not tampered with, they are not stolen. Those are the laggards and the late majority. Some of us, very few of us, took up the challenge. Although we are not young, took up the challenge. And I can tell you for free, that was the turning point in my life. The first presentation I did for Professor Saitoti made me his personal assistant in speech writing and presentations. So every capital, we went through 27 capitals of the world with Saitoti. And I had to be the #1 on the list because I was the one going to do the presentations. And I used to make ugly PowerPoints. When I look at them now, compared to what I'm doing now, ugly. But Saitoti was so excited. And that gave me an advantage, promotions and everything you want to think about. So this artificial intelligence or ChatGPT, please don't be a laggard. Accept the reality and know how to use it. But you can see all this thinking is anchored in the theoretical framework on diffusion, on innovation. That's where it is anchored. And so as you give us your conceptual theoretical framework, it should not be something isolated hanging out of your thought process. I should be able to see it throughout the development of this thesis. So I want to stop there because I don't want to rush through characteristics. I mean, the environmental context, and then review of the literature. Maybe can we have a last reader to finish this theoretical framework so that next time we are looking at the review of the literature and how do we write it? Can I have a reader for environmental context, please? Yeah, we can stop there. Yes, Jimmy Sanya.
I can read. Oh,
thank you.
Prof. Thank you, Prof. Environmental context. Environmental context is one of the contributing factors in the diffusion of innovations. To Wegenert 2002, environmental context plays a crucial role in the innovation diffusion process, since the adopters are living in geographic settings within societal culture and amidst certain political conditions, page 310. Moreover, Deering and Cox 2018 indicated that the context does not only influence the diffusion of innovations, but also how the inventors create and introduce the new technology to the public. In addition, Deering and Cox 2018 highlighted the reciprocal effect of innovation by stating that innovation can change the society and vice versa. Also, continuous innovations with their associated sustained diffusion can lead to changes in institutions and communities. Deering and Cox 2018. Similarly, as the inventors are shaping an AI tool such as ChatGPT, the invention is also changing the society, hence the need to explore the views of the potential users of this AI chatbot. Thank you.
Very good. Yeah, and where else would you find it among the universities? I hope we are beginning to understand the magnitude and the value of a literature review. And remember, up here, not just the conceptual and theoretical framework, but this ChatGPT, what we are talking about. After the literature search, you are looking at these aspects. So in addition, I searched for literature that focused on studying or discussing the diffusion of innovation theory. So apart from the literature review on ChatGPT, he brought in the literature on the conceptual and theoretical framework, which we have dealt with adequately here as an example. I hope you are beginning to realize, as people would say in Kiswahili, hii chapter sio mchezo. This is when I see the authentic you, the intellectual you, the endearing fortitude in you to become. Then you'll become the speechwriter of the president. You'll be the head of research in an organization. Anytime people want refreshed and intellectual thoughts, they'll want you to be there. It comes out of punishing yourself by doing the literature related to your area of study. So I'm going to pause there, and you remind me when we reconvene, we are going to go through this up to the end. Examples of the literature review. You see now, the literature review itself, what will it cover? It will cover all this. It will also cover the role and functions of ChatGPT, limitations of ChatGPT, and the summary. Then you are writing a literature review. Wekesa, I saw your hand up.
Yes, Prof. Perhaps maybe you can allow when you're almost done. So mine is just a request. We've been having conversation. Dr. Ayiro saying that people who had submitted chapter 2, that those who are already doing chapter 3. But then you realize that we will have a lot of changes, especially after you've taught us these things. So my request then is this, Prof, that maybe for those who had already submitted chapter 2, without beginning again from the drawing board, maybe during when, if you can maybe look at them, so that then when we begin to redo it, we can have those corrections so that we can just move together.
Okay. Who knows? I might use them as examples of bad, horrible literature.
Yes. I'll be glad to use mine.
Yeah. Ladies and
They're not
gentlemen,
so many, though. They're very many.
but I want to advise all of you to contain your. This is not a good thing. I like students who are enthusiastic, who want to try. But like Wekesa is saying, I hope you are realizing that this is what mentoring is all about. This is what supervision is all about. So that when you start to write chapter 2, you have a framework. And I'm going to send you all these materials for you to be able to look at and construct a meaningful chapter 2. And I am excited and hoping that I'm going to get disciples who really work on their chapter 2 and I'll say, yes, this looks like a chapter 2. Let me conclude by saying this. Just a minute. Let me conclude by saying this. Where is that? Did I bring it down? Yeah, let me just give you again, I was working on this let me see whether we can bring this mind map as you go home, part of your appetizer, not this one, not stop sharing. I didn't want that. Stop sharing. Just give me a minute, please. I'm trying to get something going here. No, this is the one. I was trying to work on this. Look at this. I hope it has come through. Charts, GPT chart literature review. This is a mind map. You see, this allows me to get the subtopics of my literature review on this chart GPT, and there are limitations. I've not even put there the theoretical and conceptual framework. But background, very important. Impact, origin, development, applications in education, in healthcare, entertainment, customer service, healthcare. When you see how operations have become less merciless, splitting people from the chest cavity to the abdomen. Now people can get in, and it is artificial intelligence that is doing that. Challenges, ethical concerns, technical limitations, biases, and fairness. Integration, future directions, integration, research, and innovation. and I can continue adding these ideas. I want you to get enticed with the idea of mind maps as you construct your literature review. So one of these things I'd be interested in, after even before you do that literature review, can you do me a mind map? It's not part of literature review, but you know, we are seeking for something deeper as a class. So I'll be excited to see what we can get in terms of mind maps, in terms of what will the literature encompass. Very good. Caro, it has been face saving today for me to run this program without hitches like yesterday. So I thank God. I become very sensitive when things don't work out. That's my nature. So I'll have the university seminar on Sunday.
Saturday?
No, on Saturday. And I just want to more or less go through this and get people to get enticed to what chapter 2 should look like.
Right.
Over to you, Caro. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your dedication, just commitment, even to come to class and another session. It has been, I don't think there's any class in data that has learned research more than this class since the inception of Data University, because research is just a one semester course, and that's why we have quite a lot of challenges. So I think people are very lucky to have had you learn them through almost 3 semesters going through research. And I think you've made their work for PhD program even much easier in research. And no wonder